You are listening to the 2 and Out CFL podcast, a proud member of the Canadian Football Podcast Network.
You know, when the models are getting their pictures taken on the beach, they have the big reflectors. We could replace those reflectors with you, and they would be...
I can't even argue this because if you've seen Powder. You've seen the movie Powder? That's basically me.
Grab some poutine and a double-double. It's time for the 2 and Out CFL podcast.
Now they have to kick it out, and they do!
Every week, Travis Currah.
Does anybody still care about this podcast?
And Brazilian Ty.
Hunters are people, too.
Talk fantasy football, bring you the latest in CFL news, and sprinkle in a little bit of nonsense.
Are you kidding? This is unbelievable!
Ready, set, hunt!
And we are part of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATB, Brazilian Ty. It's the week of love. How are you getting ready for Valentine's Day?
How do you think I'm getting ready? I'll let you spitball, and then I'll actually tell you what I'm doing.
I don't know if I want to guess. I mean, there is a wedding this weekend. Maybe you might be able to get some over the Valentine's residual leftovers, I guess, at the wedding. I don't know. Is that what you're going for?
Yeah, well, let's go with that.
I am so domesticated. I was making homemade buns this afternoon.
Yeah, I was golfing this afternoon, so I have zero situation, and I can do whatever I want. So it's pretty sweet.
Golfing. Let's see. It's minus 23. Explain this to me.
Let's Golf in Lloydminster. It is a virtual golf center. There's 5 of us. Everybody drank like 2 or 3 beer. I drank 8, and here we are. We also won. We also won the scramble. So I mean, I was the only one there that didn't have kids or a wife, and I decided to take full advantage of that.
Oh man! So has it already hit you, or is it going to hit you in the middle of the podcast?
Depends. If we start talking about Montreal, it's going to get real Western real quick.
All right, let's get into it.
In the Huddle with Currah and Ty on the 2 and Out podcast.
Well, Commissioner Ambrosie has really been on sort of a global tour. He's been setting partnerships all over the world. The Nordic countries, Finland, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Austria, France, Germany. He was not kidding when he said he was going to take the CFL global, and some continue to be offended by it, saying that they need to get to work on the CBA, but they really do seem oddly relaxed and not too worried about getting that done. But this one they put out with the Nordic partnership here is that some of the top players are actually going to be coming to Canada for the National Combine next month, and this is definitely like a long-term vision because they want to create better ways for some of the players from Europe to not only just come play in the CFL and go to camps and do that, but to come over and attend Canadian universities and play U sports in junior football and get an earlier start on the Canadian game. I don't know. I don't see anything bad about this. I think it's a win-win here.
Can you give me one example as to how this hurts the CFL?
I can't. I honestly cannot think of a bad thing that could come out of this.
Exactly. Ambrosie from the start has been, he's been very pointed as to where he wants to go and what he wants to do with this league, whether it's been rule changes or stuff like that. And, going into Europe like he has and coming through with all these deals, it does nothing but help the league. It's not going to hinder the league in any way, shape, or form. People saying that he's spending too much time on the road and not worrying about the CBA. The CFLPA has already said they're not ready to negotiate until, March? So it has zero to do with it. The more eyes on the league, the more opportunities that the league provides is just better for the league as a whole, in my opinion.
The AAF, they got underway this weekend. Did you catch any of the action?
I drove home from Grand Prairie yesterday about noon, so I wasn't able to catch anything live. The one highlight I did see was one of the quarterbacks getting absolutely lit up and his helmet flying further than the ball did.
And I think he stayed in the game.
Yeah, so the concussion protocol is obviously really good in that league. It's I mean, it might be better than anything we've ever seen.
But I know the players refer to the AAF when it comes to what they might be looking for in the CBA, and I think a big one is health insurance. If they are able to get that, I am thinking the players are going to be willing to take some concessions here.
Well, I totally agree. Like, I mean, to play the game of football, it puts a monstrous toll on the human body. I don't remember who it was. I think it was Odell Willis tweeted out today, and this being Sunday, that the average American rookie in the CFL goes home with $15,000, and that's through 18 games. And the AAF is paying more, and they're financially stable for 5 years allegedly. Like we don't know any of this for sure, but it's really tough to turn down the money when you're playing this game. And if guys want to look at that as a viable option, you can't blame them.
As we stay looking at some of the off-the-field stuff, the Montreal Alouettes, here we go, Ty. They debuted a new look last week, and what did you take away from the whole thing? I thought that the event that they held, it looked awesome. It looked legit, and I think it brings their uniform and their look into, the present. Even those jerseys that they were wearing when they debuted them, they kind of looked old. I think the Owls, I think everybody can admit, they probably had some of the worst uniforms in the league. They were very dated, but now I really like what they've done with the whole thing.
Oh, hands down, that it might arguably be one of the best jerseys in the CFL right now with their new rollout. Like, to be honest, their logo was cartoonish, and I'm not saying that to crap on the Owls just for the sake of the swear jar. Like, to have that bird carrying the, like, it was a cartoon bird carrying the football. It was a cartoon. That you didn't see that in a lot of other professional sports. The most cartoony thing you get is gritty in the NHL right now. That being said, if John Bowman doesn't retire, I'm getting an Alouettes John Bowman jersey. This new jersey is legit one of the best I've ever seen.
Well, speaking of John Bowman, he has been modeling some of the new gear. So does that mean he's going to be back?
Hashtag segue.
He was in the Bahamas modeling the new gear, which I thought was pretty badass. How do you beat that?
I was down there too, but they were like, no, you're way too ripped. You can't be in the photo shoot. So what did you do on the beach? Or at poolside? I imagine you getting red as a lobster. No, I went about waist deep. We know where this is going, right? Because I really had to go to the bathroom.
Because I feel like, when the models are getting their pictures taken on the beach, they have the big reflectors. We could replace those reflectors with you, and they would be
I can't even argue this, because if you've seen Powder, you've seen the movie Powder, like that's basically me. No, they look great. The logo on the helmet looks weird, but at the same time, when you
that's going to take some getting used to. But we haven't seen a football helmet look like that.
No, but when you look straight at it, there's the M.
Yeah.
You have the M, and when you look sideways, there's the wings. Like, it all works together, and I think they look phenomenal.
I like it.
They look way better than their front office does. And I just, so I worked one in there. So, I mean, I think it's a great look. I love the color scheme. I've always loved the Owls color scheme. I think it's unreal. But just the whole, I don't know, revision of everything, it looks really good. And it seems like they know what they're doing. And like I said, with the on the helmet with the M and the wings, and they've kind of thought it all out, and it looks really good.
All right, and with free agency starting tomorrow, we'll get to our official, I guess, preview right away here. Let's stay with some of the coaching moves that have happened since we last recorded a show. This is not really a move, but John Hufnagel is going to get inducted into the Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame in April, so shout out to Huff from the Stampeders. And Jacques Chapdelaine returns to Toronto after last coaching there in 1992. It was his first CFL job. He was doing the special teams back then, but now he is going to be their OC and quarterbacks coach, hopefully to try and get Franklin and/or McLeod Bethel Thompson to the next level. It seems like Pop likes his Jacques Chapdelaine a little bit, bringing him back to Toronto. But there are a lot of people in this league that aren't fans of old Chapdelaine anymore. I think they probably would have liked to have some new blood there in Argo land.
I am one of them. If I am the Argos, I want nothing to do with Jacques Chapdelaine because he does not put any emphasis on the running game, as we saw in Saskatchewan, where Jerome Messam would get 15 carries one week and 2 the next. If I'm James Wilder, I want out. It just, I don't know. Chapdelaine just irks me. He just rubs me the wrong way. I have no confidence in his offensive scheme or how he calls plays. It just
there
seems,
you have it.
Well, am I wrong though? Like, look what he did when he was in Saskatchewan. Look what he did when he was in Saskatchewan. Messam would get 20 carries and then 2 carries and then 15 and then 3 carries and then 20 and then 2 again. It's like, dude, commit, figure out your scheme and go with it. None of this like jumping around. Like, it makes zero sense to me. Like, I understand professional sports. As an Oilers fan, I understand the old boys club. Don't get me wrong. I get it.
Yeah.
It's brutal. And I understand in almost every professional sports league, coaches are recycled. And I totally understand it, and I get it because guys have done it. The experience means a lot. But when you have a guy like Jacques Chapdelaine who has never, or I shouldn't say never, but when he was an OC in Saskatchewan, I had zero faith in that offense. And you would think that another team would see that, looking at the offense that he ran in Saskatchewan, be like, maybe not the best fit. At the same time, maybe with Chapdelaine, James Franklin or Bethel Thompson throwing 50 times a game could help their development. Maybe.
Yeah, we'll see how that offense fares this year because, man, at times last year it was not pretty in Toronto. Let's pivot to Saskatchewan, and they continue to promote from within. Jeremy O'Day is now the GM. Craig Dickinson is now the head coach, and Jason Shivers is now the defensive coordinator. This will be his 4th year in Saskatchewan. I guess towards the end of last year, Jones had him calling the plays, calling a few plays here and there. So maybe the system in Saskatchewan is not going to be as drastically different as some maybe have thought, especially on the defensive side. And it seems like the players do really like Craig Dickinson. So even though Chris Jones is gone, they seem to have some sort of continuity going into next season. And that's big for football teams, I think.
Oh, it's huge. And we talked about it, when Jones left, that continuity was going to be a huge thing with this team, whether it be promoting from within or finding guys that wanted to come coach that had the same ideals. Shivers coming in, it'll be a change. It might not be that big of a change. At the same time, it really doesn't matter how good this defense is, who's playing quarterback for the Riders. So I think as good of a signing, or maybe not signing, as a promotion as this is for Shivers, I think it's going to be swept under the rug once free agency starts if this team doesn't get a quarterback.
So continuity is how you say it, not continuity.
No, yeah, it's continuity. I don't know, Trav. I've only been podcasting for 2 years, but I didn't go to school or anything. I don't know how to say words. Apparently, I know how to add numbers. I'm a surveyor, but that's about all I can do.
Yeah, my English, not good at all.
Let's not even talk about it.
This podcast brought to you by ATB Financial, and go to ATB for their new no-fee, all-in digital checking and savings accounts. We don't need the mail. We don't need the paper. We can save the trees, and the best part about it is no monthly fees, no minimum balance. Ty doesn't have to worry. I need to worry about a minimum balance.
Nah, I wouldn't say I have to worry about a minimum balance.
Unlimited digital transactions and Interact e-transfers. So get into the 20th century with ATB Financial and the new digital no-fee, all-in bank account. No more paper, none of that stuff, and it's all 24/7. That's the best part about it. So
speaking about paying bills.
What?
Speaking about paying bills, you know how you got to pay to heat your house and
especially with the weather we've had lately.
Yeah, it was minus 36 in Lloydminster last night. You know what I turned on when I went to bed?
The air conditioning?
Yep.
Why?
Because it was 22 in my condo.
Oh, that's too hot.
I turned my AC on at 17 and it ran all night. Slept like a baby.
ATB.com to check out the new no-fee all-in bank account. All right, so free agency gets underway this week. I am almost 100% certain by the time that most listen to this, maybe half the players will be signed, but let's do our best, kind of go team by team a little bit here. The Ottawa Redblacks have actually signed some guys to extensions. Jonathan Rose, DB. They actually signed Chris Randall, who was let go by Winnipeg early this year. So they've got some horses in their secondary all of a sudden. Jason Lazon-Seguin on the offensive line extends for 2 years. Canadian defensive lineman Michael Clausen extends, and so does Dominic Davis, which is really interesting.
Now is their starting quarterback.
Yeah, when he came in at times last year, it looked like the Red Blacks offense was lost, but he's got a cannon on him. There's no denying that.
He's Uncle Rico.
He can chuck the ball, but Trevor Harris is a free agent, and I guess it's impossible to talk about him without talking about a certain other one or two quarterbacks. So let's just go that way right now.
Name one other notable free agent quarterback in the CFL. Like, name one. Just name one. Can you just name one?
Yeah, Mike Riley.
Yeah, but what about Bo?
Well, that's why I wanted to talk about both of them.
Oh! I see where you're going now.
Okay, so the Eskimos granted BC permission to talk to Mike Riley, and from what the reports say, it looks like it's all but done, that he is going to be heading to BC. Some actually thought that Edmonton was going to trade BC his rights so they could get a head start on signing him. But when they gave him permission to talk to him, why would they trade them anything? So
why would they give him permission without trading rights?
That's what I mean.
That makes zero sense to me.
So I don't know if a trade is going to happen, but it looks like it's all but done that Mike Riley is going to BC. And the thing that is blowing my mind about this whole thing is the amount of money that allegedly could be going Mike Riley's way in the $700,000 range.
Well, he's no Casey Printers.
Well, if he's getting paid that much, I think the Eskimos might be better off without him.
Okay, mate, I agree salary cap wise. But at the same
That's
time,
what I'm saying.
Well, at the same time, though, who do you replace Mike Riley with? And if you say Danny O'Brien, I'm hanging up the phone.
Well, here's the thing, and this started with Trevor Harris. I think the Eskimos take a run at him.
I would take Kevin Glenn at $250,000.
And I think the Eskimos take a run at Harris.
I don't know if Harris is going anywhere.
It depends. Did he like playing with Jason Moss when Moss was in Ottawa?
Who didn't?
At that time,
really, look at
that offense was awesome.
Yeah. At the same time, he wouldn't have the same weapons in Edmonton, and the O-line would be a downgrade. So if I am Trevor Harris, I am staying put.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with Edmonton here because, I mean, everybody's kind of saying Darrell Walker is going to go where Mike Riley goes. So if he goes to BC, and they've already re-signed Brian Burnham, they re-signed TJ Lee on Sunday as well, and if they're paying Mike Riley the amount that the reports say, the Lions are going to be losing some talent too. Chris Rainey is going to be gone.
This is every offseason, right?
I don't know what they paid Devere Posey for limited action last year. I assume he's gone. Mm-hmm. Jonathan Jennings is off the books. Jeremiah Johnson is a free agent. Sean Lemon is a free agent. Manny Arsenault is a free agent as well, so he might be gone.
They do not have a quarterback on their roster right now due to free agency. Out of Lule, Jennings, and Fajardo, everybody's a free agent.
They're putting all their eggs in the Mike Riley basket, but we'll see. He's one guy. I mean, they already have Brian Burnham. If they're able to get Darrell Walker, Riley, Burnham, and Walker is a damn good start to your offense, but are they going to be able to afford to improve the offensive line or anywhere else?
Well, I don't want to crap on that BC offensive line. Like, Ed Hervey tried to rebuild it, and he did a damn good job the last 2 years of putting an O-line in front of Lule and Jennings that was able to protect them and establish a run game with Jeremiah Johnson. At the same time, Mike Riley is a totally different quarterback than he's in a different league than any other quarterback in the CFL where, if a play breaks down, he can run for 20, 25, 30 yards, where you look at a guy like Bo Levi or Travis Lule who's gone through the injuries from trying to scramble, or Trevor Harris, where they're not going to be the guy to get you those yards to get first downs. But look at a guy like Mike Riley, where he doesn't need the best offensive line. He has offensive line to fit that scheme where he is able to do what he does offensively and on the ground, where, BC, if they are able to go after Mike Riley and get him, where they can kind of build it. I know it sounds weird and it just seems totally wrong, where you can build an O-line around the quarterback. Like, am I crazy there, or am I just being a complete idiot?
Would you pay $700K for a 34-year-old quarterback?
Is he 34?
Yes.
How many Grey Cups? One. Is he Doug Flutie?
No.
Then no.
I don't want to downplay Mike Riley and his talent, but
unless I'm the Riders, but I'm a little biased there.
I don't know if that's the way I would manage a salary cap, but I have won exactly 0 championships there.
Dude, I'm an Oilers fan. The salary cap is like French to me.
And let's talk about that other free agent quarterback, Bo Levi Mitchell in Calgary, because the Stamps have started to re-sign guys. Jamar Wall, they've signed 3 guys on the offensive line. Ucambre Williams, Brad Erdos. Shane Bergman. They've re-signed Corey Greenwood, Terry Williams, Brandon Smith, who, by the way, has been with the Stamps since 2008. He has 6 Grey Cup appearances. He has had an amazing career in Calgary, and he just doesn't get talked about enough.
Yeah, it's ridiculous how much that guy makes a difference, and the fact that nobody talks about him just seems a little out of touch. Yeah.
So Bo Levi Mitchell. There were talks that he's had a number of NFL offers. Basically, hasn't really liked the guaranteed money he's seen. The Denver Broncos kind of seemed the favorites to sign him, but at the same time, there was a report that came out, I guess, at the beginning of January that Huffnagel basically said, "Please let us know by the end of January what you're going to do," and that kind of came and went. And there's a feeling that Bo's not going to take a discount just to continue to play in Calgary. So when you say, who's Ottawa going to go for, I assume they would throw an offer Bo's way. Saskatchewan will throw an offer Bo's way. And Calgary's going to throw an offer Bo's way. Everyone is going to, except for BC.
At the same time, though, tell me a team that wouldn't want Bo Levi as their starting quarterback. Right now, regardless of what we see teams doing to set themselves up for free agency, there's no team in the league that wouldn't want Mike Riley, Trevor Harris, or Bo Levi Mitchell.
And Bo Levi is going to command the same money, if not more, than Mike Riley. And he turns 29 in March. So he is 5 years younger. He plays a bit of a different style. He runs less. He gets hit less. I think he's probably the most valuable free agent quarterback coming available on Tuesday. And it would not shock me one bit if Bo Levi heads east and goes to Saskatchewan, which I want to see, because all of the trash talk that Rider fans have spewed about Bo Levi Mitchell,
it's like they don't know anything.
To have him in green and white would be absolutely hilarious. But the Riders, within the last few days, have had meetings with Zach Collaros as well. So I don't know if that's contingent on what happens with Bo, or if we're going to be waiting even longer on Bo. But what's so interesting about this is that everyone was almost sure that we were going to be waiting for these guys to sign until the CBA was done. Now it almost seems like the CBA and the salary cap could be built around the salaries that these two big quarterbacks are going to get paid.
No, to a point, I understand that thinking where, let's be honest, in the CFL, without a quarterback, you're not going to get much done as a franchise. We've seen it time and time again. I don't want to crap on Zach Collaros, but he was absolute garbage this year. And, the Riders sure went 12-6. Playoffs did nothing. Bo Levi and Mike Riley, I want to put Mike Riley in a class of his own, but you almost can't just because of the age. Either one of these guys, no matter where they sign, makes a team a Grey Cup contender. And, we haven't had that in the CFL where there's two guys that can do that in a real long time.
They could be playing until they're 40. I mean, AC did it.
Behind a offensive line that was basically a bunch of Mack trucks.
Ray has, done it up until last year, and there's a guy. Could he be heading back to Edmonton to finish his career? And Kevin Glenn. So if the Lions get 5 or 6 more years out of Mike Riley, of course it is going to be worth it for their franchise. And just the way he is, he might be able to sell some more tickets in BC as well, and there's nothing wrong
which
with
could
that
be huge.
either.
Yeah, that's absolutely huge for the franchise, and you see it in every sport in places where they struggle to draw, and the Jays this year are going to be the epitome of that, where everybody knows that it's a rebuilding year, but they have Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and people are going to want to see him play. If there is a football team in the CFL that maybe is not where the fan base thinks they should be, but they make a huge signing early in the year, could be a huge bump up for attendance.
Where is Bo gonna play if you could pick?
Okay, wait. When you say if I could pick,
go with your head.
Head, Calgary. Yeah.
Part of me, I don't know. I'm buying into the hype.
Give me one reason why he would leave that situation that is not money related.
Yeah, but if somebody's willing to pay you more, then whatever. If he wants to win and if he wants to keep that legacy, he stays in Calgary.
So if the Alouettes offered him, $500,000 more, would he go to the Owls? No.
Saskatchewan has the off-the-field stuff, which I don't know if Bo really cares about.
I don't know if the off-the-field stuff is as big a deal as we've made it out to be, or as I've tried to make it out to be, because I hate Chris Jones. But as much as that whole front office, and with Chris Jones gone now in Saskatchewan, it just seems like maybe stuff might be a little more stable. I don't know. That's just me,
man. If
That's
I
just
could
me.
get free car washes and free blizzards and free Italian star paninis for life, I don't know, man. That's a pretty big incentive.
Where are you getting these blizzards from?
Well, at the Elephant Stone.
Elephant Stone, Dairy Queen. Let's go. Jumbo, please. My address is beep, 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 beep.
So, if Bo looks at that, and let's face it, he would be an absolute superstar.
Oh,
he already is.
I don't think it matters where he goes. I would take Bo over Mike Riley. So, and it has nothing to do with skill. I get, fantasy football wise, I take Mike Riley all day, every day, twice on Sunday. Whatever. But when I'm looking at a franchise, I take Bo. He's 5 years younger, and he does the same stuff Riley does, minus the rushing. So if I get the same passing game out of them, I can fill in the holes as I need to go if I'm a GM.
It's going to be a very interesting week ahead. The Riders have extended Mike Edom, and you know what? Their free agent list is headlined by Willie Jefferson. Mm-hmm. He is available. He was their MOP last year. He might take one more shot at the National Football League, but I think there's a guy that's going to go with who's going to pay him. And if Saskatchewan's not going to pay him, that is going to leave a pretty big hole in that defensive line.
Well, it's a huge hole, and you can't blame a guy for going for the money after playing as long as he did. And looking at the offense side of the ball, like we said, all last year, the quarterback situation in this offense in Saskatchewan was such a big issue, and it showed in the West Semi where they only scored 17 points. Kalaros didn't look like he knew what was going on, kind of thing. But you look at their free agent list, I know Willie Jefferson's a huge piece, but Zach Kalaros, Brandon Bridge, Rob Bagg, maybe not a huge piece, but Cameron Marshall, Naaman Roosevelt, Devin Bailey, Jordan Williams-Lambert, Caleb Hawley, and Brian Jones are all free agents. If Saskatchewan goes out and signs a big-name quarterback, namely Mike Riley, Bo Levi Mitchell, Trevor Harris, one of those three, who do they throw the ball to? This is a serious question. Who does he throw the ball to? Like, does Eddie Steele come and play tight end? Like, come on.
Yeah, that Naaman Roosevelt could be out of town as well. So there's a lot of changes for every single team. But the team that I think could be taking the biggest hit, other than Edmonton, who could be losing their quarterback, losing 3 of their top receivers. They've lost their middle linebacker, who went to be a coach in Calgary. I don't know how that one happened. And as a sidebar, I know a lot of the fans are blaming and putting all of this on Len Rhodes. And maybe indirectly, it is his fault for basically firing Ed Hervey a few years ago because winning was...
Oh, we're talking about the Eskimos. Oh, I wasn't sure when you started.
Winning was not enough. So that has led us to this point where the Eskimos have had a really rough offseason, but the Bombers could be having some losses here as well. Matthias Goosen retires off of the offensive line. Suk Chung is available, and it looks like they're not really close on making a deal. Taylor Loeffler is available, and it looks like they're drifting apart. And Javon Santos-Knox is available as well. So when they signed Adam Bighill to that big deal, they could be losing 3 big-name players right there on top of Goosen, who has retired.
Well, and we talked about that too when Bighill signed that deal, that there was going to have to be cuts or maybe moves somewhere else, namely on the defense, because normally teams don't pay a lot for defense unless it's a middle linebacker, safety, maybe an interior lineman or a exterior lineman pass rush. And you look at guys like Santos-Knox and Loeffler and Suk Chung, that like Loeffler being a Canadian, that is huge for any team that can wrap up Taylor Loeffler, and he, between him and Adam Bighill, in my opinion, and take it with a grain of salt, I think those should have been the 2 signings that they need to make. It's with any team, you have to build with the middle, with a middle linebacker and your safety, Taylor Loeffler, Adam Bighill. That's huge for any defense. If they can't figure out a way to get these guys signed and under contract, and with Goosen retiring, it's going to be real tough. But then you look at it, the Bombers, they have Dembski, Keenan LaFrance, Ryan Langford, and Kenny Lawler as their free agents right now on the offensive side of the ball. And Nick Dembski is really the only one that worries me about not coming back. So they have built somewhat of a system where there is continuity in their offense and enough of the defense where they can try to fill holes, but I mean Loeffler and guys like that are just really hard to replace.
The S, to their credit, were able to re-sign Kwaku Boateng, and I do think they did all they could do to re-sign Mike Riley. It just there were some factors that the Eskimos could not control to bring him back. The Argos signed running back Brandon Burks for another 2 years. Bear Woods will be back. Abdul Kanay, Jermaine Gabriel, Terrence Plummer, Alden Darby, one of the few bright spots in the Argo defense last year. The Ticats are able to keep a lot of their offense together. Brandon Banks will be back for 2 years. Nikita Whitlock re-signs. He was a defensive lineman and a running back, which I think is a unique combination.
He's the man.
But Alex Green is going to be back, and Mike Daly will be back on the defense. So I think probably the quietest team heading into free agency probably will be the Hamilton Tiger Cats, although Delvin Breaux on the defense is available, and he might have some money coming his way this week.
He is the epitome of a shutdown corner. Quarterbacks are afraid to throw to his side of the field, and when you have a guy like that, where you can have one guy covering a receiver, you don't have to worry about safety help over the top or somebody covering underneath. It just opens up so many more options for your defense to cover everybody else, and it just makes it that much harder for a quarterback to read your defense.
It'll be fun to see what happens with a guy like Duron Carter or a guy like B.J. Cunningham, who has been, I think, the best receiver in Montreal for the last little while. I think he's had some potential, but really nobody throwing to him for a little while. Micah Johnson is available in Calgary, and something to watch heading into free agency is how many guys like to go play closer to home. That is a big deal, I think, now in today's CFL player than it has been in the past. But, I mean, with almost 200 players as free agents, there's going to be a lot of movement. Do you care to make any predictions?
For what?
Players leaving.
Oh, man. There's just so many options. You look at Hamilton right now, their quarterback situation is shored up. Chris Williams, Mark McDonald, Shama Chambers, Mike Jones, Sinkfield Jr., Terrence Tolliver, they're all free agents. Just as an example, like, there's so many teams that have a lot of free agents, and I talked with some people that listen to the podcast and that I talk to on a regular basis, and they're like, what is this team going to do with this player or this player? They're like, the amount of free agents right now, it doesn't mean anything.
Like 90% of them are going to re-sign.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like we won't have anything to talk about for another week once everybody's signed, and there's guys that aren't going to leave. They're just going to the absolute maximum timeline they can. It's really tough. Like, between Bo, Mike Riley, Trevor Harris, those guys can literally go anywhere in the league they want as long as a team can afford to put them on their roster. Saskatchewan obviously needs to address their concerns at quarterback. That being said, if you have a quarterback, you can't have a quarterback in there with no receivers. I don't know, man. It's going to be a crapshoot. It really is. Like, okay, so if you're the Riders, are you going after Riley, Bo, or Trevor? If you're anybody but Winnipeg is the only team that won't go after a quarterback. Right?
Well, yeah, and Hamilton won't with Mazzoli.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think Montreal's going to stick with Manziel, whether they
you
want
have to have a
or
contingency
not.
plan, though, at that point.
Yeah.
So I don't know. If I'm a betting man, I say Riley to BC, Bo to Saskatchewan, Trevor to Calgary.
Man, I might say, is any quarterback going to want to sign in Edmonton at this point?
Kevin Glenn.
I figured Harris maybe go to Edmonton, Bo to Saskatchewan, and Riley to BC, but Riley's probably going to be the first one announced on Tuesday. We'll see what the rest happens the rest of the week, but it is going to be a fun one. We'll come to you again next week, and I'm assuming we're going to have a lot to talk about with the signings.
And it'll be a joint effort. We will actually have a podcast where we're together.
The second one ever.
Right. And I also have some food-related news, if it's not too late.
What?
I had chicken cordon bleu, bleu, for the first time last week.
And?
Well, if it's all it's hyped up to be, I was disappointed. Maybe it was just because it was in camp, but I get it. Chicken, ham, and cheese. It sounds like it'd be really good, but all I could taste was the chicken and the breading, because everything at camp is deep fried.
Is it?
Oh man, the only thing that's not deep fried is the vegetables, and even then, sometimes you're iffy.
Is it frozen stuff?
I don't know. I don't eat the vegetables.
I did mean the chicken cordon bleu. But...
Oh, guaranteed it is. Because it's let's say the chicken breast is 8 inches long. There's 3 inches of ham and cheese, and the rest is all just chicken and breading.
Yeah, you deserve a better one, man.
But before I cut into it, I looked at the guy I was with. I'm like, I'm gonna like this, right? Like, there's no weird sauces and stuff. He's like, no, man, it's just ham and cheese. I'm like, it's like the greatest sandwich ever. And he's like, well, yeah. I'm like, okay, don't say any more. I'm gonna eat it.
Oh, I love how cultured you're getting.
Oh man, I try. They had
What's next? Chicken parm?
Whoa, chicken parm. You taste so good. Don't knock chicken parm. I love chicken parm. They did have cabbage rolls last week.
How were they?
Guess how many I ate?
Did you eat anything else?
Yes.
I'm gonna guess around dozen.
I would say 0, but okay.
You don't like them?
I've never tried them, and the smell of that sauce is like, no, I'm good.
All right, this podcast is over. We are a part of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATB.
Nothing less.
Check out Bollywood is for Lovers with Matt and Aaron. They explore the world of Hindi cinema through the lens of 2 Canadian cinephiles, which I absolutely love. Because if you've ever taken a look at some of the Bollywood stuff on YouTube, some of the greatest action sequences in film history, and I am not exaggerating. They got some great stuff, and Matt and Aaron take you through the world of Bollywood, and Bollywood is for Lovers. Check out the Alberta Podcast Network website at albertapodcastnetwork.com. It's brand new, it's so organized, it's spick and span. So enjoy that. We will talk to you next week when some of these dominoes continue to fall, as we still are about 3 months away from the season getting underway. I'm Travis Currah. He's Brazilian Ty. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening. Find more great shows like this at CF Pod Network on Twitter.